2024 Leagues Cup has officially come to a close, and despite a second deep run in as many years, this time the Union came up empty-handed. We'll break down the Union's League Cup run and what it means for the club as they head back into the home stretch of the MLS regular season. All that and more as Union Insider starts right now.
Takes the strike on, and it's off the inside of the post.
Ariel, who scores off the header from the set piece, flipped it in off the back post.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Union Insider presented by Independence Blue Cross. I'm Marisa, and I'm joined by former Union players Sebastian Letou and Sheanon Williams. Guys, it's nice to be back here with you. Now, despite the loss in the third place game against Colorado on Sunday, it was another deep run that saw plenty of great moments for the Union in Leagues Cup. Let's take a look back at what the Union accomplished during this year's Leagues Cup. The Union started Leagues Cup with a 1-0 win over Charlotte in group play, followed by a PK loss to Cruz Azul, which helped the Union clinch the top seed in the group. Philly would get a home match against Montreal in the round of 32, winning 2-0 on a brace from Ty Baribo and beating Montreal for the first time this season. Their next matchup was their first ever on the road in the tournament against FC Cincinnati. That match was scoreless at halftime, and despite blowing a 2-0 lead in the second half, the Union added 2 more goals to their scoreline and prevailed 4-2. The Union then would host Liga MX side Mazatlan in the round of 16, where despite being down a man in the second half, would send the game to PKs and let Andre Blake do the rest, winning it for the Union and sending them to the semifinals. That's unfortunately where the good times came to an end in the Leagues Cup for the boys in blue. They fell to Columbus, to the reigning MLS Cup champs, 3-1 before losing in PKs to Colorado and former Union keeper Zach Steffen finishing 4th place in the tournament and failing to qualify for the 2025 CONCACAF Champions Cup. Guys, that was a lot for me to read, but it was also for a lot for the guys to play through over the last month and a half. What was your biggest takeaway of this tournament?
I think few. First, I think, of course, a bit disappointing that they were not able to win against Colorado, against the 3rd place and the qualification into the CONCACAF Champions Cup for next year. But other than that, I think we need a reaction, from the team, from all what they did in MLS, during the year. It was great, to see that we have a lot of guys who came back healthy for this tournament. Like you say, we play almost every 3 days, so it was a big turnaround for the team. But I think we can take a lot of positive from it. First, defensively, I think we have been, much better, doing this cup, kind of coming back to what we are supposed to be at, with the player we have in the team, and especially having Andre Blake coming back into the goal was a huge thing for the team. He make, lots of incredible saves during all the tournament and help the team, getting some clean sheets and making sure, we go through the round when he saves some PK as well against Mazatlan. Then I think we find a new goal scorer in the team as well, with Ty Baribo being the best scorer of this, competition. We had a lot of question marks about are we going to be able to score goals. Carranza is not here, but Ty Baribo, right away, really impressed, everybody in the squad, and he was the most dangerous forward for the team. But we keep, scoring goals. I think we were patient offensively. We had a lot of kind of turnaround in the team as well. Jim Curtin were able to use a lot of guys off the bench that we don't see, from him usually, but he were able to go deep in the squad, making some changes, and we had some good results. I think winning in Cincinnati 4-2 was something, we were not really thinking about. We are going to be able to do a month or 2 months ago, but when the team, play at their real level, they can get result away. So it was very positive, and hopefully they can keep going now in the MLS.
Yeah, so many positives that you pointed out. The return of Andre Blake, the emergence of Baribo, and also those reps you said of Jim Curtin looking towards his bench as we get closer to the finale of the MLS regular season. It's going to be important those guys have minutes. What impressed you the most, Sheanon?
I think it was just them navigating this Leagues Cup run. It's obviously very different, especially with the PK aspect thrown in there. They did a good job to get results and get themselves back in good form, which I think is going to be important leading into the rest of the regular season. Seba talked about the players that came back into form and also joined the form side of things, and somebody like Ty Baribo, Andre Blake, who hasn't played much during the regular season, coming back in, and you see how important he is to this team. So really just the extra 6 games, while it's disappointing not to get into next year's Champions Cup, I thought that they did a good job to get the momentum back behind them as they enter this final swing in these last 9 games.
When we think about who the Union were as a team before the Leagues Cup and then what you saw during, who do you hope that they'll be after, given the performance they had during this tournament?
I mean, I feel like this tournament, with the Leagues Cup, kind of hopefully give us some hope for the playoff. Now the only thing is, can the Union be able to qualify for the playoff? Maybe not on the last seed, but maybe having a possibility to get some home games. It will be great, because when the playoffs start, I think for the Union, they can remind themselves in what type of mentality they were in this tournament in Leagues Cup, and pretty much try to redo the same thing in the playoff. It's going to not be easy because it's different type of competition and it's just with the MLS team, but I think what they did during the month of July really showed to them that they are still a good team. They just need to all play at their full level, be more concentrated defensively, because we saw a lot of mistakes at the beginning of the year we are not used to, but as soon as they do that, we can see that we still score a lot of goals. So I really hope it just gives them some kind of, let's say, good energy going forward into the MLS. It's not going to be easy because every game it's important from now to get some points, but I think we have some good hopes as Union fans to be able to get in a good spot in the playoff and then go on the run as well.
And Sheanon, how important is it that Andre Blake got those reps in Leagues Cup, where the games still matter, but now being applied to an MLS regular season where it's really do or die?
I think for Andre to get those reps is really important. It gets him back up to game speed. You know now that he's ready, and also ready for that final stretch of these MLS games that are going to be the business end of the season here. I think it was huge for Andre to get in and get those games and get himself back going.
The Union's Leagues Cup run may be finished, but we're not really done talking about it. While the team didn't get a trophy to come home with, a Union player certainly did. Forward Ty Bariba won the Leagues Cup Golden Boot, finishing with 7 goals in 6 games, including a brace in 3 different matches. His run since entering the Union starting lineup has been nothing short of impressive, and Leagues Cup was his official coming out party. Our very own Sage Hurley caught up with Ty this week in Union Roundup, presented by Green Mountain Energy.
What's up, Union fans? I'm Sage Hurley here at the club's campus in Chester for another edition of Union Roundup. Leagues Cup is officially over, and the boys in blue concluded their campaign in 4th place out of 47 teams across Major League Soccer and Liga MX. 26-year-old Israeli striker Ty Bariba was the undisputed star of the show, finishing Leagues Cup with a total of 7 goals. Bariba hit the back of the net more times than any other player in the entire tournament. In Philadelphia Union's 3rd place match against the Colorado Rapids, he secured his 3rd brace of the tournament, boosting his total above both Diego Rossi from Columbus Crew and Denny Buanga from LAFC, who both competed in the Leagues Cup final later that night. Major League Soccer play resumed on Wednesday night, and before the match at Subaru Park, Bariba was honored as the Leagues Cup top scorer on the field before first kick.
With 2 goals in Sunday's Leagues Cup match and a total of 7 goals in the 2024 Leagues Cup tournament, Ty Bariba.
Look at that smile, what an accomplishment, but I still think the best is yet to come for Ty Bariba. For now, that's all I have for Union Roundup. We'll see you next time.
Now it's time for this week's Union Trivia, presented by United Concordia. Which current MLS team do the Union have the most points per game against? Find out the answer later in the show. Welcome back to Union Insider, presented by Independence Blue Cross. With the Union's return to MLS play this week, it's time to focus on one thing: the playoff push. Let's break down who the Union will be facing in their last 9 matches and how a path to the playoffs can be had in the Eastern Conference. Of the Union's last 9 matches post-Leagues Cup, 4 will be at home, 5 will be on the road. Of course, the Union will have played one of those matches against Columbus on Wednesday, but this show's being filmed on a Tuesday, so we don't know the result of that yet. Forget about that game for now. The Union will travel to face New Jersey to face the New York Red Bulls this weekend before the international break. Upon returning from the break, the Union will be on the road at Supporters Shield, leading Inter Miami in a midweek tilt with NYCFC. Then they'll be home to face DC United and Atlanta United before traveling once again to face Orlando City and Columbus again. And then there's Decision Day, which the Union will host this year, but it'll be a daunting one because it will be against FC Cincinnati. Guys, the stretch down this season for the Union is by no means an easy feat. So many of these teams, the majority of these teams they are facing, are above them in the standings. What is going to be crucial for the Union to get through this gauntlet and get into a playoff spot?
Personally, I like the schedule just for one reason. I think the Union, every time they play a team that they believe, they were better than them, they never really play at their full level. It was always one good 45 minutes and then they reacted to kind of come back into the game. Now they know that they need to beat any of those teams to be able to go back in the standing and hopefully pass in front of them. So they're going to be very, very concentrated, I think motivated to finish strong, and every game they're going to be very well concentrated about the game plan, what exactly Jim Kernan and his coaching staff wants to do, and making sure that they got a positive result, especially when we go away. You have 5 games away to finish. It's not easy. You say all those teams who are pretty good and right now above the Union. So it's all about concentration and making sure that physically everybody is ready. Jim Curtin, plays the best, starting 11 at that time, because you can see you play Columbus, of course, like tomorrow, but we are not going to see the result, but sorry, not tomorrow, yesterday, with the show. But we are going to see them playing then a quick turnaround against New York, so 3 days. Then you have a break, international break, so it's kind of 2 weeks off. We hear Jim, not being agree with that because it's maybe too much of a break, between the game, and then 2 games in the same week, then another break, and then you finish the season. So it's all going to be for me about making sure that when you have those 2 games in a week, can we get minimum 4 points? Can we get a result away? And when we come back at home, we need always the 3 points. But all about motivation, and I think with what they did in the Leagues Cup, the team now is really focused to finish strong and get a good place in the playoff.
Yeah, as you said, the schedule isn't just one game every week for the next 9 weeks. It kind of sputters, it stops and goes. What's key in a schedule like that when you know everything is on the line, when you have moments where you absolutely need to be on and then you rest?
For me, it's going to be the attention to the details. I think that's going to be so important. You're going to have time to practice in between these games to really get ready for whoever the opponent is that you're facing in that week. So I think that overall preparation is going to be extremely important. I also think that the 4 home games that they have left are extremely important to get points out of all of those home games. The Union have been pretty decent on the road. We know that they can pick up points on the road. It's been their home form that's let them down this year. I think if they can pick up that home form, also concentrate on the details going into these last 9 games, again, facing all opponents that are above them except for DC, I think that they can get into the playoffs, but they're going to have to really work for it. They're going to play some teams that are potentially resting at the end of the season, so we'll see how that ends up, especially with FC Cincinnati at the end of the year. We'll see how those races go, and we'll see if they can't climb up into the standings a little bit and get a playoff spot.
Speaking of players that can help down the Union down the stretch, a player was brought in to help with during the Leagues Cup. It's Haitian international Danley Jean-Jacques, and he gets the spotlight in this week's player profile presented by Subaru. Danley was acquired via transfer from second-tier French side FC Metz on August 8th. The 24-year-old is a defensive midfielder who tallied no goals and 3 assists over 69 games with FC Metz between Ligue 1 and Ligue 2 in France. He started his career for Don Bosco FC in his home nation of Haiti. He's under contract through the 2026 season with options for both 27 and 28. So, Sheanon, what does he provide the Union as a player option?
Obviously, with Jose Martinez moving on to Brazil, it's important that the Union try to fill that void. He's going to be somebody that's looked upon to see if he can come in and hit the ground running and have an impact in these last 9 games. It's going to be important for him to get integrated with the team, which that's something that the Leagues Cup helps with as well, getting those extra games, making sure that you get players that you're going to need down the stretch involved. And I think that that's what they're trying to do to see if he can really help them out in this final stretch with them losing Martinez.
And Seba.
You're going to see the fact that like you see in his stats, he's not a goal scorer. He's more, I think, a number 6 who is going to cover a lot of ground, physical, making sure that he helps, the 2 center backs to kind of mark the number 10s, forward dropping sometimes. But you can see the physicality of the player. He's still very young, just coming back from France, so he just finished his vacation. You can see he came on during the Leagues Cup for a few minutes. Is he going to be ready physically maybe for this weekend? Maybe. But if it takes time, to always come to a new team, especially coming from France, I heard that his English is not so good so far. So to understand, exactly the way the team wants to play in a diamond, I think in France they were playing more with 2 two number 6 in a different formation. So he has to adapt as well to his team and his teammates. So it takes a little bit of time, but we are going to for sure need his play and his mentality as a number 6 to be able to help the team. As a starter, as coming off the bench, we saw a little bit what he can do, but I'm looking forward, to have him have a big impact, especially defensively when we play all those away games, because we are going to need a big workhorse like him, covering a lot of ground and helping defensively.
Yeah, he's young and he has fresh legs. What does it do for the defense to have a new defensive midfielder playing in front of them?
It's going to take some time for that unit to gel. You're so used to having a specific player in front of you, and now that player has moved on. So to bring in a new player, it's just important to get the reps down, making sure that you're on the same page. Seba talked about the English language barrier, which can sometimes be a factor. So can they make sure that they're on the same page to enter this final 9-game stretch, because they're going to need them.
All right, we're coming up on a break for Union Insider, but when we return, we'll break down what the Union need to do to beat New York Red Bulls this weekend. We'll be right back after this. Time for our Chick-fil-A Nugget of the Week. Andre Blake, Jack Elliott, and Kai Wagner all played 90 minutes in every Leagues Cup game. This not only led the Union, but was tied for the most in Leagues Cup, along with Colorado's Andreas Maxo, Zach Steffen, and Keegan Rosenberry. Welcome back to Union Insider, presented by Independence Blue Cross. With the Union heading up to New Jersey to take on the Red Bulls this weekend, it's time now for these two to hand over their keys to the game, presented by Subaru. Seba, you're up first.
So I'm going to go with being good in counterattacks. I think we saw a little bit of flash, during the Cincinnati game when we won 4-2. After Cincinnati came back at 2-2, I think the team did very well, going quick in counterattack, especially with the front three, connecting Ua, Baribo, and Gazdag. I'm expecting kind of the same thing, having the Red Bulls coming pressing, as soon as they lose the ball in the half of the Union. Could they find, the quick pass, behind the quick, holding of the ball of one of the forward and then running off him. We saw, Sullivan, if he play on the right with his speed, using on the right side and be able to be a part of the attack as well. And if Maglin started as well, can he find those great passes that we saw when the team went at 10 against 11 at home against Mazatlan? Quick reaction, good pass in the space with Makarua, who is always, the best when he has 30, 40 yards to run into and finish those opportunities. I think it'll be a game for counter-attack for the Union. They may have the ball sometimes, but I think New York Red Bulls should have most of the ball during that game. Try to press, the Union and score early goal. Could we have good counter-attacks and make them pay? I think it'll be a good thing for the Union.
All right, Sheanon, what do you add to that?
For me, it's going to be for the Union to do a good job playing out of the press. You're going to see New York Red Bulls send a lot of numbers high and look to win the ball back as quickly as possible, as Seba talked about. Can they do a good job of being a little bit more direct? You're going to see those center backs be really high. Can they turn them around, get Ua, get Quinn Sullivan, get Gazdag in behind their defensive line and force them back to their own goal? This Red Bull team is a team that really likes to play on the front foot. They're also on a 13-game home unbeaten streak. So again, it's going to be important to make sure that they stay compact when they win it, not too many short passes that are getting picked off and leading to New York Red Bull counterattacks. Can they connect passes higher up the field and then look to combine to get to the goal?
It was a busy weekend, so let's take a look at some of the other big moments in this week's Around the League, presented by Torque. The 2024 Leagues Cup Final was a rematch of the 2023 MLS Cup Final, and just like last time, Columbus finished on top. Chucho Hernandez scored in stoppage time, and Jason Russell-Rowe also added another 2 minutes later as Columbus Crew beat LAFC 3-1 to become the 2024 Leagues Cup champs. And back in MLS play, the Supporter Shield race continued with the two top teams. Luis Suarez scored twice in the first 6 minutes of the match against FC Cincinnati, and Inter Miami would hold down to win 2-0 and help close in on the Supporter Shield as we near September. When Union Insider returns, Seba and Sheanon will give us their players to watch for Saturday's match as the Union are on the road to face the New York Red Bulls. We'll be right back after this. Here's the answer to this week's Union Trivia question presented by United Concordia. The Union have a 2.13 points per game all-time average against Nashville SC, their highest points per game against any active MLS team. All right, it's the final segment here on Union Insider, presented by Independence Blue Cross. And to put a bow on all of this, we need some All-State players to watch. So Seba, as the Union head to New Jersey this weekend, who are you keeping an eye on?
So I'm going to guy named Daniel Gazdag. I don't know if you know him, number 10 of the team. I think, it's a perfect game for him, knowing that now having Ty Baribo, in the team, maybe more attention is going toward Ty, toward Michael Roy, for counter-attack, and have more, Daniel Gazdag being the guy underneath. I like the way he played in Cincinnati. He was not always on the same line of the forward. I would love him to have him underneath, so we can always, play the ball in the pocket, and if we find the forward is underneath, to be able to kind of distribute, the ball to the forward or to the winger, supporting the attack. He does a good job, when he's underneath. He gives more opportunity, for the team to get the ball out of the back, and it's something, I'm looking forward to win, and hopefully he can finish some of those chances that he's going to, of course, get, because he always at the right place at the right time.
All right, Seba. Now, Sheanon, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that whoever you say actually has a really great game. I'm rooting for you this week, Sheanon.
Me too.
Who are you going with?
So last time I picked Ty Bariba,
Yes.
who got a red card. That's a tough way to watch
that.
a player to watch.
Yeah.
So this week I'm going to go with Mikel Ura. I think this is a game that's tailor-made for what he does well, which is stretch the game, try and get in behind opponents. If he can apply that final finish once he gets that ball from hopefully Daniel Gazdag, then I think that Union can pull away with some points in Newark, New Jersey this weekend.
All right, so fingers crossed. We hope for the best for both of them.
Please, Michael.
That's going to do it for this one. The Union are heading up I-95 on Saturday to face the New York Red Bulls. You can watch the match on MLS Season Pass or listen on 97.5 The Fanatic with Dave Leno and Sheanon Williams. For all of us here in studio, I'm Marisa Pilla. We'll see you next time.